This is my top 10 PS2 games. Alright everyone, hope you are doing well. Thank you for pressing play once again. I'm the man they call Pixel Paul, and this is my top 10. Another episode of my top 10. Done a few of these now. I have a playlist of them, and it is exactly what it says on the thumbnail. It is a top 10 of PlayStation 2 games. So like I said, I've done a few of these videos. I've done Xbox 360 top 10s, I've done all-time top 10, I've done various other videos as well, so make sure you check out that playlist. But yeah, this is going to focus mainly on the PlayStation 2, the monster console that is the PS2. This was a big console for me. I played a heck of a lot of games on this back in the day, and I'm still playing games on it now. I'm still playing catch up on some of those games because the library for PlayStation 2 is absolutely massive. We're talking thousands of games released for this console. Absolutely amazing little system, this one. What can you say about the PS2 that hasn't been said before, really? Picking a top 10 for this console from its catalogue of games was difficult in some ways. Because I did love this console so much and still do, I had a very sort of clear vision of what my top 10 games for the console were. So it was difficult to leave some games out, but quite easy to pick my top 10 in a way. Don't be surprised to see a part 2 to this, because I did it for the Xbox 360. There's quite a reasonable chance that I will do an 11 to 20 as well at some point. But anyway, let's get into my top 10 PlayStation 2 games. Cheers everyone. Right, let's get into this then. So there is no particular order to this top 10. Picking a top 10 was hard enough as it is, in a way, but actually putting them into some sort of order would be practically impossible. I have left probably my favourite PlayStation 2 game to the very end though. I always do that. But in terms of the rest, yeah, there's no real order to this. So let's kick off with what is an absolute classic. Black. What a game that one is. One of the best first-person shooters on the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox as well. Yeah, completely threw the rule book out a little bit on this one. It's just pure action. There is a storyline to it, but it is just a pure guns, action, explosions, bullets. That is Black, teed up perfectly, and it is. And it says on there, top of the pile by a mile, 10 out of 10. That was... Alright, official PlayStation 2 magazine, but yeah, I'd agree with that. Absolutely amazing game, Black. If you've never played it, you must. Black. Next up, and this was quite an early PlayStation 2 game. I remember getting this very copy back in the day, giving it a go. Again, it sort of reviewed relatively well, but it was a game that I didn't really know much about before I'd played it. But it's one of those games that sort of sticks with you. And that game is Ico. Absolutely love Ico. I do love all the other games that came along after this. Shadow Colossus and The Last Guardian as well. I enjoyed both of those two games, but Ico's the one that stuck with me all this time. I adore Ico. Such an amazing sort of visual style to it. More or less, it's a very sort of silent game, very eerie game, very lonely feeling game in a way, but yeah, just such a great experience. It was like a game something you'd not played before on PlayStation 2 or any other console before it in a way, and for me, just an absolute classic. And that front cover just sort of sums up the entire game. It's the sort of scale of the world around you and how sort of small it makes you feel in a way. So yeah, absolutely love Ico. Absolute classic. Next up, another game that probably one of those games that defines the genre, this kind of genre on the PlayStation 2, and brought it up to a completely different level. God of War, the original God of War, probably my favourite. It is my favourite of the God of War games. I do like God of War 2 though. I was very on the shelf about which one to put in this top 10, but I'll go for God of War. Ask me again in a couple of weeks' time, it probably God of War 2, but no, God of War. Basically, at its sort of core, it's just a hack and slash game, but its sort of sense of scale and how epic it is, again, had never sort of been seen on the PlayStation 2 or in that era or anything before it. We're talking kind of epic movie type scenes in it. and just an incredible game, incredible score, amazing graphics, easy to play, and just, yeah, gave birth to one of the best PlayStation characters of all time, Kratos. So God of War easily into the top 10. Next up, and this one is a multi-format game again, a bit like Black, but I played it on PlayStation 2 first. So it's another one that goes into my PS2 top 10. Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. Yeah, this was basically a bit of a reboot for this Prince of Persia games. And again, just another one of those games that absolutely, when I played it first, it just absolutely blew me away just how great it was. An amazing story to it. The way the relationship between the prince and the princess develops through their sort of conversations throughout the game is just really well written, and it makes that impact at the end of the game, which I won't tell you about unless you've played it and you've already seen it, or you've seen the movie even. It makes the impact of the end of the game that little bit more meaningful. But yeah, everything else about the game, graphically, it looks amazing. It has this really kind of weird, soft, almost blur filter to it, which kind of, I don't know, again, it kind of makes it almost feel movie-like in a way, something like that, that kind of soft focus that some movies had. So yeah, just combat in it is so easy and fluid and easy to kind of do. The traversal stuff, the jumping and everything, the platforming, again, just very intuitive and very easy to do, very easy to get into. And yeah, of all of the Prince of Persia games that sort of came after this is still my favourite one. I absolutely love this game. Prince of Persia, Sands of Time. Sadly, that remaster of it seems to have disappeared and looks like we're not going to get that now. So it's a shame, but we've still got this one. Love that one. Right, next up, yeah, what do you say about this game? I mean, everybody loves this game, I think. You could probably put the second game into a top 10 quite easily as well, but I've gone for the first one, just because I think I played the first one more than the second in a way. Need for Speed Underground. Again, another game that kind of changed the game a little bit with these sort of racing games. I mean, obviously, you had Need for Speed before Underground, but they were kind of always in the shadow of games like Ridge Racer and even maybe like Gran Turismo. Obviously Need for Speed and Ridge Racer are a little bit more arcade-like compared to Gran Turismo and that sort of thing. But yeah, Need for Speed Underground just brought the underground element of racing onto consoles. Amazing soundtrack to it, some absolutely cracking tunes on this. None that I can actually remember. But yeah, just incredible to look at, so fast. Graphically, just it's able to keep up with that pace as well, and it just looks amazing. And yeah, sort of probably reinvigorated the Need for Speed series in a way. So an important game because we've had so many Need for Speed games since, and so many great games too. But Underground was probably the one that kick-started the Need for Speed series, I would say. So yeah, that's going in my top 10. Right, now, we'll go for this one because it's weird to say, but this is potentially a bit of a wild card. You maybe wouldn't necessarily expect this to go into people's classic kind of top 10 lists. But again, this one means a lot because I played so much of this series during the PlayStation 2 generation. I've gone for this version of it because I think this was the version that peaked the series in a way. And that game is Pro Evolution Soccer 4. You could possibly argue that 3 was the best, maybe. But I think 4 was the one, again, that I sort of played the most. So I have a lot more kind of fondness for, if you like. Back when, obviously, FIFA came along in the sort of 16-bit era and changed the game a little bit for football games on home consoles. For a long time, FIFA was the brand. And then in the background, you had like sort of Konami Hyper Soccer, then International Superstar Soccer, which came along, which then kind of merged into this. I think it started to pick up a lot of pace when they had ISS 64 on the N64, and obviously it was on PlayStation as well. But I think the ISS games probably just started to kick-start the interest in Konami's football games, and that then merged into Pro Evolution Soccer. evolved into Pro Evo Soccer, shall we say. And for a long time, Pro Evo was very much on top of football games, very much on top. I think there were, did we go up to 7? Pro Evolution 7, and then it started to get different titles, I think, or years possibly. I think there was 7, maybe 6. But yeah, for me, probably Pro Evolution 4 was when the series was at its peak. Absolutely incredible game, amazing in 2-player, yeah, just absolutely loved Pro Evolution Soccer. Played the hell out of this series from 1 through to probably 5. After 5, I started to lose a little bit of interest with Pro Evo, possibly. But yeah, I'll go for Pro Evo 4 in my top 10. We're into my final 4 now, and I think personally these are 4 absolute classics. I love all 4 of these. In many ways, any one of these 4 could have been my top game, possibly. So these might even be considered to be like my top joint 4 games. I don't know. But anyway, let's get into it. Time Splitters 2. Again, first person shooter. For home consoles, I would say it's another one. It's another defining moment for that genre on consoles, I think. Time Splitters. I think Time Splitters 2 is just as important in a way as games like Doom and GoldenEye and Half-Life. I think Time Splitters 2 is just as important because it introduced that element of having a really sort of dynamic storyline to it, a very almost cinematic storyline to it. The variation between all of the levels as well meant that, you know, the game is not the same all the way through. You are using different weapon sets, different characters, just different terrains. Just every single mission is completely different to the last one. Controls wise, absolutely perfect. It's got great music. It looks amazing. The cutscenes are great. The multiplayer was brilliant as well. Obviously, the local multiplayer was brilliant. And it's just an absolute stonewall classic, I think, Time Splitters 2. It's one of those games I'm worried is going to kind of get forgotten about, you know, in years and years of time. I just get the feeling because the series just didn't carry on after Future Shock, whatever the third one was called, which I didn't quite like as much as Time Splitters 2, as you can tell. Yeah, it's one of those games that I just wonder if it's just going to start to fade away from people's memories. And I seriously hope not, because I do think it's such an important game, Time Splitters 2, just for that entire genre. And what a front cover as well. Love the front cover and the art style on that. So, yeah, easily into the top 10 for me. Next up, we've got, and possibly these 3 games I've spoken about quite a lot on my channel. Certainly the next 2 anyway. We need more people to talk about this one as well, though. Beyond Good and Evil. Yeah, again, just easily one of my favourite games on the PlayStation 2. Absolutely love this game. Sort of came out of nowhere a little bit. And that's kind of what I liked about the PlayStation 2 generation and the PlayStation 2 years, and the Xbox, in that, you know, developers were taking chances. They were creating new ideas, creating new IPs. Beyond Good and Evil probably was a bit of a gamble for Ubisoft at the time, but it paid off, and it's just an incredible game. It's sad that we'll probably never get that sequel. I think it's one of those where that time has almost passed, and I think if you were to do an outright sequel to this now, I think you may have lost a lot of people with it. I think current game players probably look at this and think, well, what's the fuss? So probably wouldn't buy it. I've just had that feeling that it would just get lost in the mix. You would have a lot of people buying it based on this because we played it back in the day. Would that be enough to justify it? Not sure. I'm quite happy. I say I'm quite happy having just Beyond Good and Evil. But again, without the spoilers, don't want to spoil it. It does end on a cliffhanger. We don't have closure to it. You know, it's one of many games where we don't have closure to, because we never got that sort of sequel that we were almost promised, if you like. But yeah, Beyond Good and Evil, just an incredible game. Just such a mix of genres as well with this. So it is essentially a 3D or third person platform type game. There's elements of stealth in it. There's elements of combat. There's even vehicle parts to the game as well. There's photography sections. So yeah, it's just a mix of different styles of game, and the storyline to it is really clever, very very kind of political, if you like, shall we say. But don't let that put you off. It is an amazing game. Such a great lead character as well, in Jada. And yeah, I absolutely love this game. I remember finishing this game. I took my PlayStation 2 on holiday, my first holiday with my wife, Mrs. Pixel. We took it with us. Just because I was part way through, I was not too far off the end of this game, and I took it with me to finish it, especially. Yeah, I don't think she's forgotten that. She might have forgotten that, but yeah, I did. So I finished it on holiday. But yeah, absolutely love that one. Brilliant game. Next up, again, another game which is, a solo sort of game. Never got its sequel. Sequel was going to happen, but it was cancelled, sadly. And that game is Freedom Fighters. I've spoken about this game quite a few times on this channel. I have spoken about this game a lot because I do love it. I think it's just a really great game. It's so much fun to play back in the day. Playing it now, the controls are a little bit clunky. The controls are not perfect on it now, and it's one of those games though that, again, you sort of look at it and you think, God, a remaster for this would be if you could sort the controls out a bit like they did with The Thing, improve the graphics a little bit, just sharpen it up, HD it up or whatever, put some nice controls mapped onto the PlayStation 5 or Xbox controllers now, and I think people would buy this now because it's a really great game. Love it. It's all about Russia invading America, essentially, and the civilians rising up as freedom fighters to take back America. It's a pretty straightforward storyline in a way, but it's just very cleverly done. And yeah, just love it. Freedom Fighters, amazing game. Okay, so number one, and if you have watched my channel for any length of time, you will know how much I love this game. I've spoken about it, again, like those last three, I've spoken about this game so many times in the past, so I won't say too much about it now, but I do love it. It's a character I love, it's a series that I love, and of all of the games in the series, it's this one that I like the best. I've played it the most. I've played it on most consoles, or a lot. I've got it on every single console, which is not great to admit, but I'm just a fan of it. But yeah, I've played it on Game Boy. I've played it on. I've played it on the Xbox. I've played it on Xbox 360. I've even played a little bit on the PlayStation 3 collection. I haven't played the GameCube version of it yet. What game am I talking about? Tomb Raider Legend. Yeah, I just love this game. I was always a little bit not sure about the original Tomb Raiders on PlayStation. I didn't like Angel of Darkness. Angel of Darkness was the first game I really played to properly and through to completion. I wasn't overly impressed with Angel of Darkness because it was a bit of a buggy mess at the time. So when Legend came along, basically rebooted the series, it was, for me, just what I expected Tomb Raider to be. It was the perfect exploring, action, platforming, story-driven Lara Croft game. And I just absolutely love Tomb Raider Legend. I just think it's such a great game. Again, really, graphically just completely what you wanted compared to Angel of Darkness. And it just felt like a step up from the original Tomb Raider games. Now, I get that the original Tomb Raider games were all about that kind of isolation and exploration and puzzles and traps and that sort of thing. And Legend does kind of step away a little bit from that. There is a bit more kind of action to it. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted from Tomb Raider personally. And that's why, yeah, I would have to say PlayStation 2, Tomb Raider Legend is probably my favourite PlayStation 2 game. It does get into my top 10 games of all time as well, so it should be number one, really. But yeah, absolutely love this game. So that is it. That is my top 10 PlayStation 2 games. Games very sort of personal to me. I get it. These are very sort of mainstream kind of PlayStation 2 games. I can imagine people will have very different top 10s for that console because there's such a vast array of games for it. So many different types of games. I mean, obviously, I haven't got any RPGs or anything like that, and there's loads of RPG type games on the PlayStation 2, but it just isn't necessarily my sort of thing. So yeah, I get it. This lot are probably quite mainstream in a way. Ico maybe being the most quirky, is that how you would say it? Maybe quirky or niche game perhaps. But yeah, that's my top 10. It's my personal top 10. As I always say with these top 10s, please let me know in the comments what your top 10 PlayStation 2 games were. Are any of these going to be in your top 10? I suspect maybe one or two might be, so it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, let me know in the comments what your top 10 PlayStation 2 games are, and I'll always try to reply. Thank you for watching, as always, and I will see you next time.